Welcome to Hallway Conversations with Ed Leaders, where your hosts Chris, Jeff, and Mark bring you behind-the-scenes insights from the front lines of education. Chris, Jeff, and Mark are seasoned education leaders who provide coaching and expertise to support school districts. Together, they walk the halls with top educational leaders, diving into candid discussions about the challenges, topics, and innovations shaping schools today. From pressing issues to transformative solutions, their conversations are insightful, unfiltered, and packed with practical advice. Get ready for real talk with real leaders who are shaping the future of education. Whether you're in the classroom, the boardroom, or tuning in from home, come away with strategies and ideas you can apply on your own educational journey. Now, let's join Chris, Jeff, and Mark for another enlightening episode of Hallway Conversations with Ed Leaders.
Welcome back to Hallway Conversations with Ed Leaders. I'm your host, Chris Galloway, and I hope that you had a wonderful new year. As we kick off 2025, we're diving into a fascinating topic that's making waves in education, the integration of AI into our field. This week, we have something truly special for you. Have you heard about Google Notebook LM? It's an innovative AI tool that can create a podcast from any document you upload. Education leaders across the country are starting to use it as a way to share valuable information with their communities. To show you exactly how it works, I decided to put it to the test with my latest book, From Classroom to Superintendent, The Educator's Guide to Climbing the Leadership Ladder. I uploaded the entire book to Google Notebook LM, and the results, a dynamic AI-generated podcast review that's packed with actionable nuggets for education leaders who are ready to grow and advance their careers. What you're about to hear is exactly what the AI created. I didn't give it any extra instructions, so the conversation between the AI hosts is entirely organic. I hope you find their discussion insightful and take away some practical tips from my book. If you're interested in learning more about my journey from classroom to superintendent in just 7 years, you can grab your copy From Classroom to Superintendent on Amazon. I've included the link in the show notes. Enjoy this unique episode, and we'll be back next week with our regular podcast lineup. Thanks for listening to Hallway Conversations with Ed Leaders.
Welcome back, everyone. We're diving deep today into the journey from classroom teacher to superintendent.
Ooh, exciting.
We'll be pulling wisdom from classroom to superintendent, the Educator's Guide to Climbing the Leadership Ladder.
Written by
Dr. Christopher J. Galloway. And let me tell you, this guy's story is inspiring.
Oh.
He actually applied to 47 superintendent positions before he landed his first job.
Wow, that's persistence.
Talk about dedication. He starts the book off strong, talking about mastering classroom leadership.
That makes sense. You have to have that foundation.
Exactly. He really emphasizes how being a great teacher is the bedrock of becoming a great leader.
It's not just about standing up there and delivering a lesson, is it?
Nope. He talks about cultivating a culture of learning. And that starts with the teacher's own mindset.
Gotta walk the walk, right. Model that lifelong learning.
He's big on that. Leading by example, he calls it. Modeling a growth mindset. Always learning.
Right. And it goes beyond just your own development, doesn't it?
For sure. He talks about creating a collaborative environment where students are really interacting, not just listening to the teacher.
Meaningful interaction. Yeah, I like that.
I was really impressed with his section on differentiated instruction. He goes beyond the theory and gives solid examples.
Teachers can actually tailor their instruction to meet different needs.
Exactly. And that's the skill you need all the way up the leadership ladder, right?
Think about it. A principal, a superintendent, they're dealing with even more diverse learners. Teachers, staff, parents, the community.
You're hitting all levels there. You know what I found really interesting?
What's that?
Dr. Galloway shares this story about how he ended up as his substitute assistant principal.
And that sparked his passion for leadership.
Yep. Sometimes those unexpected detours can lead to amazing things. So let's say you're a teacher and you're feeling that pull towards leadership.
You want to expand your influence.
What does Dr. Galloway recommend?
He says, volunteer. Get involved in leadership roles at your school.
Department head, lead teacher, committees.
Raise your hand, show them you're ready to go the extra mile.
But he makes a good point. It's not about just checking boxes.
Right. You need to understand the school's priorities. See the big picture.
Contribute to those school improvement initiatives. And here's another big one.
Hit me.
Data. You need to be comfortable with data.
Using it to inform decisions, drive improvement.
He says that's essential at every level of leadership. Oh, and he has a great tip about documentation.
I love a good practical tip.
Keep a record of everything you do, all your accomplishments.
Build that leadership portfolio.
He actually says every day is a job interview.
Because people are always watching.
It's about showing your professionalism, your leadership qualities in all your interactions.
That reminds me of his point about dressing for the job you want.
Even if your school is casual, putting effort into your appearance sends a message.
Like you're invested in your professional growth. Ready for more responsibility.
So we've got the informal stuff down. But what about formal qualifications?
Ah, yes, the credentials.
How do you level up in that department, according to Dr. Galloway?
Well, he's a huge proponent of continuous learning. He says if you're serious about administration, a master's in educational leadership is a must.
And don't forget those administrative credentials.
Those are often the key to those higher level roles. What I found interesting is that he acknowledges how tough it can be for teachers to balance everything.
Work, family, professional development, it's a lot.
It is, but he offers solutions. He suggests looking at online programs or ones with flexible scheduling.
Find a program that fits your life.
That's key. And you know, this really resonated with me because it really did. Because when I was working on my master's, life was crazy. I had a full-time teaching job, a young family.
Finding the time is tough.
It is. But, you know, Dr. Galloway's right. There are programs out there that understand that. Okay, so you've got the credentials, the experience, and the fire in your belly to lead. Now what?
Then you need a plan, right?
Exactly. Dr. Galloway is big on establishing a clear leadership framework.
Like a roadmap.
Yeah, a guiding philosophy. It shapes how you make decisions, helps you create a cohesive school culture.
That makes sense.
And what I appreciate is that he doesn't say there's only one right way to lead. He talks about different models.
Transformational leadership, servant leadership.
Right. He even dives into his own creation, the CARS framework.
Now I'm intrigued. CARS.
It stands for capacity building, accountability, relationships, and systems.
Interesting.
He argues that effective leadership needs all four of those elements.
They work together?
Exactly. You can't build capacity without good relationships, right? And you can't hold people accountable without clear systems. It's a holistic approach.
That's all about balance.
Yes. And adapting the framework to your school's unique needs. That adaptability is a big theme in the book, actually.
Oh.
He constantly reminds us that there's no magic formula for leadership. You have to be responsive, understand your school's strengths and challenges.
Tailor your approach.
Precisely. So let's say you land that assistant principal role. Big step.
What are some of the challenges Dr. Galloway talks about?
He keeps it real. He talks about the big mindset shift you have to make.
You're not just managing a classroom anymore. You're supporting an entire school.
Right. Thinking more systemically, understanding the ripple effect of your decisions. It's a lot to handle.
Staff management, student discipline, making sure everything runs smoothly.
And you have to advocate for both the teachers and the school's best interests.
That sounds tricky.
It can be. He gives some great advice on navigating those dynamics, though. Clear communication, active listening, a willingness to compromise.
Those are key. You know what I found particularly insightful?
What's that?
His perspective on student discipline. He really challenges the traditional punishment model.
Yeah, he's all about a more nuanced approach.
Considering the context of the behavior, the student's individual circumstances.
Looking at restorative practices. The goal is to help them learn and grow, not just punish.
Create a culture of accountability and support.
Interesting. And he reminds us that even as an assistant principal, you're building your leadership brand.
How so?
Take initiative, get involved in district-level stuff, show off your skills to the higher-ups.
You never know who's watching.
Right. They might be looking for their next principal. So let's say you've done your time as assistant principal, gained that valuable experience. Now you're ready for the big share.
Principal time.
Dr. Galloway has some great advice for that transition, too. First off, be prepared.
Do your homework.
Research the district, understand their goals and challenges, show them how your leadership style aligns with their vision.
It's about being the right fit.
Exactly. And he's a huge advocate for the 30, 60, 90-day entry plan. Hit the ground running.
Show them you have a plan.
Yep. A clear vision. Actionable steps for those first 3 months. Be ready to tackle those challenges head on. And of course, there's the interview itself. That can be nerve-wracking.
Any tips for rocking the interview?
Dr. Galloway suggests practicing your answers to common questions. He even gives examples of tricky scenarios you might face as a principal.
Student discipline issues, academic gaps, tough conversations with parents.
You need to be able to think on your feet. Show them you can handle those tough situations. Okay, so you nailed the interview, you got the job, you're officially the principal. What now?
Time to lead.
Dr. Galloway talks about this shift from being a task manager to being a transformational instructional leader.
Inspiring your team.
Exactly. Creating a positive school culture, supporting teacher development, building strong relationships with parents and the community. Remember that growth mindset we talked about earlier?
Yeah.
It applies to principals, too. You have to model that continuous improvement. Be an active participant in professional development.
Stay up to date on best practices.
Create a culture where teachers feel supported and empowered to grow. He even talks about empowering teachers to lead.
Delegating responsibility.
Yep. He calls it distributed leadership. Giving teachers ownership over their work, letting them lead initiatives when they feel trusted and empowered.
They're more invested in the school's success.
Exactly. And that can lead to amazing results. He shares stories of schools that have completely transformed themselves by embracing this collaborative approach. So you've conquered the principal role, made a real difference in your school, but now you're feeling that pull towards something bigger.
District level.
That's right. Time to zoom out. Think about how you can impact an entire educational landscape. But before we jump into the world of district leadership, what are your takeaways from this part of the journey? What stood out to you about transitioning from teacher to principal?
For me, what really hit home was that idea of shifting from managing tasks to leading people.
Absolutely. It's about inspiring your team, creating that shared vision.
And the importance of relationships. At every level, it seems like building strong relationships is crucial.
It's the foundation of everything. Okay, are we ready for the district level?
Ready to go big picture. Dr. Galloway talks about this interesting shift in perspective when you move from leading a school to leading an entire district.
You're not just focused on one building anymore. It's like zooming out to see the whole landscape.
He uses this phrase, informal influence. What do you think he means by that?
Well, at the district level, you're working with principals who are leaders themselves. You can't just tell them what to do.
So it's more about building consensus.
Exactly. Inspiring people to buy into a shared vision. And that requires a different set of skills.
Like what?
He talks about fostering trust, building relationships, clear communication.
Making sure everyone feels heard.
Yes. Recognizing the expertise of those on the front lines.
And systems thinking becomes even more important, right?
Absolutely. You need to see how all the pieces fit together, how decisions impact the whole system.
Dr. Galloway gives some great examples of how districts can use data
to identify trends, anticipate challenges, allocate resources effectively.
It's like you need to be a master strategist. Well, let's talk about the assistant superintendent role. What does that entail?
He describes it as a key link between the central office and the schools.
So they're responsible for a lot.
They oversee things like curriculum development, human resources, district operations, making sure everything runs smoothly and aligns with the district's vision.
Lots of plate spinning.
And it requires strong communication and collaboration skills.
Because you're connecting with so many different people.
Principals, teachers, central office staff, the community. Okay, now for the big one. The superintendent. Dr. Galloway really gets candid about the challenges of applying for that top job. I mean, remember his story? 47 applications.
That's wild. He doesn't sugarcoat it, that's for sure. He talks about the role of search firms, how important presentation is, and he mentions this search firm cycle.
It can be a real hurdle for first-time superintendent candidates.
How so?
Well, search firms often favor candidates they've already placed before, people with superintendent experience.
So it can be hard to break into that circle.
It can, but he offers advice. Build relationships with search consultants. Understand the process. Tailor your application to each district's specific needs. Show them you're the right fit.
It's like a whole different ballgame. He also talks about connecting with board members on a personal level, beyond just qualifications.
Yes. He introduces this idea of the 4 F's framework.
4 F's.
Faith, family, friends, and fun.
Interesting. What's that all about?
It's about letting the board see who you are as a person, showcasing your values, your passions. School boards aren't just looking for a competent administrator. They're looking for someone who's a good fit for their community, someone they can trust.
So it's a balance of showcasing your skills and showing your human side.
Exactly. Okay, let's imagine you aced the interview, you impressed the board, you got the job, you're the superintendent. What advice does Dr. Galloway have for leading a whole district?
He says, go slow to go fast.
I love that. It's so counterintuitive. You want to come in and make a big splash, right?
But he says, no, take your time. Listen, observe, build relationships.
Understand the district's culture, its strengths and weaknesses.
Get the lay of the land before you start making big changes.
And remember, you're a steward of the community's schools, not the owner.
Powerful. He also gives practical advice for things like working with the school board, managing finances, dealing with crises. And he wraps up the book with a chapter on preparing for your superintendent evaluation.
Setting clear goals, gathering evidence, showcasing your accomplishments.
Wow, what a journey. From classroom teacher to superintendent, it's been quite a deep dive. What are your final thoughts?
I'm feeling inspired. Dr. Galloway's book is packed with practical advice, and he shares such compelling stories. He really captures what it means to be a leader in education. For me, the big takeaways are the importance of continuous learning, adaptability, and the human side of leadership.
I completely agree. It's not just about the title or the position. It's about building those relationships, empowering others, and making a difference in the lives of students.
Couldn't have said it better myself. To all those aspiring leaders out there, keep learning, keep growing, and never give up on your dreams.
That's a fantastic note to end on. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the world of educational leadership. We'll see you next time for another fascinating exploration.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of Hallway Conversations with Ed Leaders. If you found today's discussion enlightening, please subscribe to our podcast and share it with fellow educators and leaders who can also benefit from these conversations. Are you looking to enhance your leadership skills? Visit our website. There, you can register for our nationally accredited coaching certification program. This program offers you an opportunity to earn a board-certified coach certification and become a strategic leadership coach, empowering you to make a significant impact in your educational community. Don't miss this chance to elevate your leadership. Join us and transform your educational leadership journey today. Until next time, keep leading, keep learning, and keep inspiring. See you in the next episode of Hallway Conversations with Ed Leaders.